Today we're going to be graphing lines in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Remember that m represents your slope and b represents your y-intercept. The y-intercept is where the line crosses your y-axis. And so that's going to be really helpful to us when we're graphing these. So here we have 4 steps for graphing linear equations by hand. Step 1 is to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So if it's not in this form right here, you're going to have to solve for y to be able to get it into slope-intercept form. Step 2 is to identify the y-intercept b and graph it. Remember, it will always be on the y-axis. Step 3 is to identify the slope m and use rise over run to graph at least 2 other points on the line. And then step 4 is to use a straight edge, such as a ruler, or like the side of your calculator or the side of your binder, to draw a perfectly straight line. Remember that lines are not line segments. Lines go on forever, so you must have arrows on either end of your line. So you always got to remember to include those arrows, because then otherwise, if you don't have the arrows, you've only drawn a line segment and not a line. So let's look at example 1. It says graph the line of the equation y equals 2x plus 1. The first question is y equals 2x plus 1 in slope-intercept form? So does this look like it's in the form y equals mx plus b? Yes, this is in slope-intercept form. Step 2 is to identify b. So b is 1. So we're going to begin with b and we're going to plot 1 on our y-axis. Remember, this right here is always your y-axis. You're always beginning on this line. Every time. You begin with b. Step 3 is I'm going to move with m. So I need to identify my slope. Your slope is always the coefficient of x. So that's that number in front of x. Here, my slope is 2. So one way that you can think about it is that this is like 2 over 1. So if I'm using rise over run for my slope, this is telling me to go up 2 because it's positive, and go right 1 because it's positive. So from my y-intercept, I'm going to go up 2 and to the right 1. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way up my graph. So from this point, up 2 to the right 1. Up 2 to the right 1. Up 2 to the right 1. We could also go the opposite direction. So I could also go down 2 and to the left 1. So from my y-intercept, down 2, left 1. Down 2, left 1. And I'm going to do that the whole way down the graph. Once you have all your points, and if you don't have them all yet, go ahead and pause this video, get all your points, and then you can resume. But once you have all your points, you want to connect these points in a line. So I'm going to connect them, and you're going to want to use a ruler or some type of a straight edge. And then very important that you include your arrows at the end of your line, because this line goes on forever, right? We were just given this coordinate plane that looks like it goes 10 by 10. So if you were given 5 by 5, it would go on past that. If you were given a graph that's bigger, it would keep going on past that. These arrows tell you that continues on this way forever, and it continues on this way forever. Go ahead and pause this video if you don't have all that written down, and then when you are ready, resume and we'll try the next example. So we're going to do the same thing with example 2. It says graph the line of the equation y equals negative 2/3 x plus 3. Let me use another color here. Let's use blue. So this is in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to begin with b. Here, b is negative 3. So I'm going to go to negative 3 on my y-axis. My slope is m. That's the number in front of x. So my slope is negative 2/3. Now I know the negative sign is out in front, but you either put the negative with the 2 or you put the negative with your 3. You don't put it with both because that would make it negative 2 over negative 3, and we know that a negative times divided by a negative is positive. So you only put it with one of the numbers. So if I put the negative with the 2, that means that I'm going to go down 2 because it's negative and to the right 3. Remember, if it helps, if it is positive, then you go up. If it is negative, then you go down. If it is positive, you go to the right. And if it's negative, you go to the left. So I'm going to go down 2, right 3. So from my y-intercept, down 2, right 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to keep going all the way down my graph. Down 2, right 1, 2, 3. Down 2, 1, 2, 3. We could also go the other way. So instead of down 2, we could go up 2. And instead of right 3, then we could go left 3. So again, from my y-intercept, up 2, left 1, 2, 3. Up 2, 1, 2, 3. Oops. Ignore those dots. There we go. Up 2, left 1, 2, 3. Once you have all of your points plotted, you're going to use a straight edge and you're going to draw a very straight line. And then once you have your line, you're going to draw your arrows at the end of each line. On example 3, it says graph the line 2x plus y equals 6. This is not in slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So my first step is going to be to solve for y. Well, if I want to get y alone, I need to move that 2x to the other side. 2x is positive, so to move it to the other side, I'll have to subtract it. 2x minus 2x is 0. I'm going to bring down my y. Negative 2x and 6 are not like terms. But I want this to be in slope-intercept form, so I need my 2x to come first and the 6 to come second. So negative 2x will come first, and then I'll have plus 6. And by writing it this way, it makes it so that mx comes before b. So this is the equation that I'm going to be graphing. Step 2 says to graph the y-intercept. B in this problem is 6. So I'm going to go ahead and count up to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's this point right here. Step 3 says find other points on the line using the slope. Well, my slope is negative 2. So that means that I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 1. So down 2, right 1. And I'm going to do that the whole way down my graph. So down 2, right 1. And if you need to, go ahead and pause the video while you're plotting your points. We can also go up 2 and to the left 1. Once you have all your points plotted, you are going to connect them in a line. And remember, you want to use a ruler or a straight edge. I'm going to draw my line a little bit better. There we go. And lines go on forever, so you must include your arrows. Let's look at example 4. It says graph the line y equals 1/2 x plus 4. This is in slope-intercept form. So I am going to begin with b. b is 4. So I'm going to go up to 4 on my y-axis. My slope is 1/2. Because remember, your slope is that number in front of x. So that means that I'm going to go up 1 to the right 2. So from my y-intercept, up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2. And I am going to do that the whole way up my graph. You could also go the opposite way. Down 1 and to the left 2. So down 1, left 2. And I'm going to do that the whole way down my graph. Once you have all of your points, you are going to use a straight edge to connect them in a line. Let's try that again. There we go. And you want to make sure that you have arrows on either end of your line. Then we're asked a couple questions. It says identify the following characteristics. The x-intercept. The x-intercept is where your graph crosses the x-axis. So remember, let me make this smaller. This is your x-axis right here. So where does this pink line cross your x-axis? Well, that's at this point right here. That is at the point -8, 0. And then we want to find your y-intercept. Well, remember, your y-intercept is where your graph crosses your y-axis. This is my y-axis right here. We plotted our y-intercept to begin with. Our y-intercept is at 4. So this right here is the point 0, 4. And then we want to know, is our slope positive, negative, or neither? So our line is going up from left to right. That makes us positive. If you weren't sure, look at your slope. Here, my slope is a positive number, so this should be going up from left to right, and it is. So this has a positive slope. Let's try that again with example 5. It says, graph the line y equals -x minus 1. So for this one, this is in slope-intercept form. So I am going to begin with b. b is -1. I am going to move with m. What is my slope here? Well, what is a number in front of x? Well, it's just a negative sign, right? So that means it's a -1x. So your slope is -1. Remember that your slope never includes a variable. Your slope is always just a number. So your slope is -1. So that means that you're going to go down 1 and to the right 1 from your y-intercept. And you're going to do that the entire way down your graph. You could also go up 1 and to the left 1. And we're going to do that the whole way up our graph. Once we have all of our points, we are going to connect those points in a line. Oops. Remember, lines go on forever, so you must include those arrows. Next, we want to find the x-intercept. The x-intercept is where our pink line crosses our x-axis. Well, that is happening at this point right here. This is the point -1, 0. Next, they are asking us to find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where our pink line crosses our y-axis. Well, we found that y-intercept earlier, right here. That is at the point 0, -1. And our last question is this slope positive, negative, or neither? Well, our line is going down from left to right, so that tells me it should be negative. When I look at my slope, it is a negative number. So it is a negative slope.